It gives me great ceremonial pleasure to turn the gavel over to Ward 6 Councilor Beth Gerard, as she is outgoing, if she would take it, to open our meeting tonight.
My apologies. I actually need to. Can you?
I guess I'll. I don't touch anything. It's a little different than last year. So, where do we go? A regular meeting of the City Council is held in Council Chambers on Thursday, November 21st, 2019 at 7 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on November 19th at 3:31 p.m. This meeting is being taped and is live on SATV. The only councilors absent is Councilor Madore, I guess Council President Pro Tempore Gerard resided? I don't. Councilor Fury moved to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous meeting. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Now I request that everyone rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Peterson. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public testimony? Councilor Dibble. President. Yeah, sure.
Not a good one. Good job.
Thank you, Councilor Gerard. It's good to see you here, and we wish you luck as your, I think next meeting will be your last. Thank you. Public testimony. When you come up and your name's called, please state your name and address for the record. And we have 3 speakers. This first one is Stephen Kapantis.
Steve Kapantis, Wisteria Street, Salem, Mass. I'm here to give testimony on 2 different items that you'll be discussing. The first is the automated speed enforcement in school zones. When I think of safety in school zones, I probably would say that there's nothing more important than the safety of our children in this city. I think that automated speed enforcement is a good idea. I hope that the council was given the information that went through our state legislation on this, on the studies that were done in other communities of other states. I will reference only one of them. There's many there, but in the state of Maryland, when they implemented a similar program, one of the biggest improvements was they saw a 70% reduction in drivers that were driving 10 miles over the speed limit or greater. And if we can make improvements there, that's great. The only negative criticism that I would have on that program is that our state legislation set a maximum fine of $25. And I realize that for us to implement this, those fines aren't going to pay for it. So it's a loss to us, but one that's important. The second item I want to talk to you that's on the agenda tonight is something that's called tap boards. If you don't know what tap boards are, they go on the inside of scaffolding, and they create a flat surface about 14 inches high, 14 to 16 inches high. A lot of people think that it's just for visually impaired and cane travelers, but it also helps with wheelchairs to preventing people that have foot stands, and it also helps prevent tripping hazards for able-bodied people as well. The cost associated with kickboards is minimal. They can be reused over and over again, just like the scaffolding. So I would hope that you would give that some consideration as well.
Thank you. We have Fawaz Abashar. All set. Very good. We got William Legault.
William Legault, 7 Osgood Street. I actually came here today to drag down the sartorial splendor at his council tonight. For some reason, you all look very well-dressed this evening, above what you normally are. I'm here as a member of the Salem Commission on Disabilities to speak on the tap board ordinance. It's something we've been working on for 3, maybe 4 years. We thought we were going to be the first in the country to do this. Turns out that we're not, but that's fine. I think it's a very simple, effective, and safe way to make sure that all pedestrians, including those that are not suffering from any sort of disabilities, can navigate some of these obstacles that we put on our sidewalks on a regular basis during construction. So I ask that you look very closely at that and support it across the board. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public testimony portion. Wondering if I could see a motion. Thank you, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we take out of order the superintendent of schools and school committee here tonight to talk to us about the state of the school system as was requested. And I'd also like to take a moment to recognize the council-elect from Ward 3 who joined us tonight to sit here and serve. Good luck. And as I went over and made sure that she got an agenda, I remember very fondly 12 or so years ago when I was there with the 2 other individuals that were newly elected at the time, and we sat right over there, and the members of the body referred to us as the 3 Stooges. But good luck. It's sometimes a little daunting at first, and I think it's great that you come here to kind of flip through the agenda and follow along with us to get a feel for how it works. But congratulations.
Okay. Councilor, I remember when my first week after election, you called me up on stage as a councilor-elect. So you're remembering to do this over and over again. You learned wisely from previous councilors. So again, congratulations to Ward 3 council-elect. Pretty good. So with that, Madam City Clerk, petitions.
We petition from the interim school superintendent Kathleen Smith to provide an update on the Salem Public Schools to the City Council.
Yep. Just name and address for the record, please.
Which address? They're all being
My address is 70 Boston Street, Salem, Massachusetts. So thank you so much, Councilor McCarthy, for taking this out of order. I'm not sure if I'll get sympathy, but I've had very, very long days and meetings this week. I do appreciate this opportunity to come before you. About 2 weeks ago, I presented to the school committee what we called a 120-day entry plan into the Salem Public Schools. And I had the good fortune back on a beautiful warm day, I think late August, early September, to meet President City Council Member Dibble. We were at I think the Pathways had a new bus. We were at the Horace Mann School. And I was so excited to meet my first counselor and talk about having been in Brockton, and one of the very strong relationships I had, certainly with my school committee, was with the city council. You know, granted, I was a resident there for many years, in the district, as I've told you previously, 42 years, but it made a difference. I was not wanting to come before them just during budget time. I wanted an opportunity during the year. We had many challenges to talk about things, and some things I'll talk to you about this evening. Instructional technology in the schools, some of the changes happening when you talk about buildings and grounds and many of those things that we collaborate on together. I think it's important to come before you whenever you have questions, and I just want to tell you I'm available to do that at any time. So during the last 120 days, my 5 areas of focus have been understanding Salem culture and values, the strengthening the relationships with not only the school committee, but administrators, teachers, parents, making sure that I'm out in the community and in the district, starting to understand what the challenges are, what people feel are the things they want to keep in the system, and what are the things that they are looking at to change. And that is building relationships across schools and community. I'm also looking at clarifying administrative roles in the schools and their functions. And I'm looking to improve critical systems, processes, and functions and systems across the board. One of the things I want to start out by saying is, and I think it's important, and I hope we all agree, that education is truly the backbone of this country, and it is the great equalizer. And I truly admire and respect all that you have done as elected officials, whether it's the city council, whether it's my school committee, whether it's our legislative group, to support our students and our families, and certainly our school district. In the first 120 days, I have spent hours in the schools. I have spent time certainly getting to know a lot of your community organizations and also some of the initiatives that we're involved in the Salem Public Schools. For instance, I spent the other day at your Early Childhood Center. What a wonderful place at the Bentley School where your very youngest learners, many of them with disabilities, along with some of their peer role models. Walking in there, it is a vibrant place where children are given opportunities to take a look at what might be a disability and making sure that we're strengthening that so when they enter school, they have all of the things they need to be successful. Looking at, and one of my favorite stories I tell is going to a Salem Partnership meeting. And I have to tell you, and I told this to the school committee, that it was a couple of months ago, and I couldn't quite find it. I got a parking spot. I knew the address was at a community bank. Finally, a Good Samaritan helped me get to, I almost turned around and went back to the office. And the reason I'm telling you that is when I got there, I was in the company of about 25 other people that care about the city of Salem. And I sat there and listened to things such as what's happening in South Salem and transit and transportation and looking at a tall ship, I think it was called Friendship, and hearing all of the things that you're doing as a community. I really thought I could sit back. When the questions were opened up and they could ask questions about this terrific presentation, almost everyone there had questions about the Salem Public Schools. So it was evident to me that there is concern, there was a lot of talk, there were a lot of positive things, but there were a lot of questionings as far as what was happening in the schools. And it showed me how important it is for everybody in our community. I had the opportunity to attend a meeting last week, Salem for All Ages. I have never seen a community, and as you get closer to being a senior citizen, you really do appreciate the things that they're talking about, making sure that we look at senior citizens as a vibrant part of our community, making sure that you're looking at opportunities for them to take part in every, not just forms of government, but all of the cultural things happening. We talked about volunteerism. And one of the things I immediately said was, I would love a group of senior citizens to come into the schools and work with some of our younger students, reading or drilling or doing some things that really assist our kids. So being out there, you start to hear things in ways that will strengthen many of those relationships. Leap for Education. I got to talk to a Boy Scout troop, House of the Seven Gables. I've been to Salem State University developing relationships. I had an opportunity to actually be part of a group at Harvard with former Secretary of Education Paul Revell, who was by my side in the past couple of years when we have been advocating for additional state funding, and I'll talk about that in a second. A group called By All Means. Nationwide, Salem is actually taking part in that partnership, doing whatever we can to support children, whether it's through the schools, looking at dental support for them, looking at community support for families. Last Friday, I was at the high school. You're part of a group called Mass Ideas, Redesigning High School for the 21st Century. Salem, again, part of that. Latino heritage events. Going to award ceremonies at the Collins School, Saltonstall in October, and I particularly enjoyed that because we were looking at honoring first responders. So I went to Saltonstall, it was their Pride Day, they had firefighters, they had our school resource officers coming together, and kids were, again, rewarding them with thanks and pictures. It was a wonderful event, and I've given you some materials. I don't have the PowerPoint showing, but I hope you'll take a look at some of the things that I've had the opportunity to see throughout the district. And I tell you, that was very special to me. I actually talked about it at the school committee meeting this past week when we had a moment of silence for Lieutenant Jason Menard from the Worcester Fire Department. I'm sure, like all of you, I woke up that morning and wasn't sure if I was seeing the same thing happening again and again. My dad was a firefighter. My dad's been gone a number of years, and he was actually president of the firefighters in Massachusetts. And they are very, very special to me, and I want to thank, again, all our first responders for everything they do, and I'm sure you join me in that. I was just talking to Councilor Flynn, who I just realized is a firefighter, and we'll have a lot to talk about. We're also part of something called Influence 100. My deputy superintendent and two of our principals, we're looking at bringing diversity to the superintendency across the state. And I think one of my favorite events that I have to tell you I took part in, and many of you were right there with me, was the Halloween kickoff parade. So on October 4th, I did think the mayor was kidding me when she told me I would have to dress up in a costume. I can't tell you I thought at my age that I would be dressing up and marching in a parade, but it was the most fun I've had in a long time. And thank you to Chief Butler, who had a wonderful costume for me. I was able to borrow. I marched. You'll see the pictures. I loved it. I was able to march as a skeleton. And I hope you take a look at the picture, a Saturday my family came to visit in October. It happened to be a beautiful Saturday, thank goodness. And I want you to look at that picture. You see me with a bunch of, and they were guys, and it was the funniest thing I've seen. They're all dressed up in Halloween costumes. And what they were characters from movies. And I was having the most fun trying to remember the movies that they were coming from. So I asked if I could take a picture with them because I wanted you to see some of my new friends that I'm actually meeting in the city of Salem. So I'm also involved in a number of organizations, and I want you to know that I think this is important for the strength of your superintendency. Like back home on the South Shore, I'm part of the North Shore Superintendent Roundtable. We meet once a month on a Friday. We talk about issues that are common issues that we share at surrounding communities. And what's important about that is when you have something happen and sometimes you're standing alone, you can call the Peabody superintendent. I can call the Beverly superintendent. We can talk about, unfortunately, we had actually already weather-related issues back in October. So to develop these relationships around problems of practice or opportunities to collaborate with other superintendents, that's important. I'm also part of the Urban Superintendent Network. I left last year as one of the co-chairs, a very strong network. And when I talk about the next thing that I'd like to talk about, I started out by saying how strong relationships need to be with elected officials. And I was very fortunate back in Brockton, and it was number one on our plate because of the Foundation Budget Review Commission report and what was happening to funding for public schools throughout the state, and very concerning. So what happened was when you take a look at your representatives here, so Representative Paul Tucker, Senator Joan Lovely, boy, did I hit the jackpot. So leaving Brockton, knowing the advocacy work that I was very much a part of, speaking at the State House, making sure we didn't leave any stone unturned to make sure people had information about the children that we're educating, and looking at how budgets are formulated. So we just recently got word, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, I have actually put some of the information in your packet. So the Student Opportunity Act was just passed unanimously by the Senate and the House of Representatives in the State House, and your Representative Tucker was actually part of that compromise committee. So how fortunate was I to come to Salem and have somebody doing that very work. So this will make a difference for years to come. Obviously, every community is different, but it pays attention to your English language learners, and I want to talk about that for a minute. It's interesting that about a year ago, I had an opportunity with 10 superintendents to visit Portugal. What a beautiful, beautiful country. And I will never forget being in a little village and wanting to purchase a piece of pottery. And I was very fortunate because everywhere we went, we had people that spoke Portuguese. We had superintendents that spoke Portuguese. We had guides that spoke Portuguese. So I never felt a language barrier. Well, I was in the village trying to purchase something, and I can't tell you how frustrating it was not being able to communicate about something that had happened with a credit card machine and not being able to understand. The first day of school, I had the good fortune as superintendent to ride your buses. I wanted to be out in the community, see the happy faces on the first day, and you'll actually see a picture of a little girl that got on the bus the first day of school. We were headed to Bates, and her mom put her on, and she said to me, she doesn't speak English. And she spoke Portuguese. And it was really interesting, and I think she was beautiful. Little bow in her hair, excited about the first day of school, as children should be. And yet she knew right away that there was a friendly face. We couldn't communicate in any other way other than looking at each other. When we got to the school, there was somebody there that was able to speak, for her, got her in the line, got her integrated with the other kids who were only too happy. And what I continue to do is to go back to the school to watch her progress, and the progress is large. What happens with these little children if they have the right, it isn't just necessarily the right teacher, but class sizes, the right materials, the right opportunities. That is a success for every one of us here, but that takes money. When you look at special education, that is a cost. It's a cost that is well worth it to educate all children. The great equalizer is education. So I am so pleased about what's happening at a state level. I know it's 7 years. It is on the governor's desk. I am very hopeful when I come before you in I probably sometime, I'm going to say April or May, when you're doing your budget. I hope that we're actually able to see an infusion of funds, because you will hear me talk tonight about a few of the challenges that I do feel we're facing as a school district. Looking ahead, I've also put in your packet something called, and this was before I got here as superintendent, it was called the Salem Budget Strategy Blitz, and we have presented this to, obviously, to our school committee. We are coming up with a date to present it to the community at large. And what this did for a 1 week's time back in March, where a group came in, educational resource specialists, and they came in and they look at all functions of the school district, and they try to, and they compare you to other like districts. It isn't necessarily just the state, it's across the nation, and it talks about some of the things that they pick up about your district. And a couple of highlights, and you'll be able to read this certainly in your leisure time. But one of the things you should know, because transportation is at a large cost, and you do a good job about providing some of your own buses along with a private company that we use. And the reason for that is it's important for all kids to have that opportunity, that equal opportunity for access and opportunity to get to school. But your transportation spending is at or below your regional peers. The public school spends less on central office functions than similar-sized districts, because you can imagine as superintendent, one of the things I've heard, and probably as a teacher, I'm sure I was guilty of saying this, I would say, what are all those people at the central office doing? Well, I'm telling you that, you know, what we have at the central office is the hub of what has to run your Salem Public Schools. I just got a printout from the Department of Education. It is 2 pages long of all of the mandates from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education that they expect, all of the reporting, all of the data, all of those things. Unfortunately, I call my executive team workhorses, and that's what they're doing here. The reason I say that is you have somebody overseeing budget, that's overseeing transportation, that's overseeing facilities, a deputy superintendent that's overseeing, you know, all kinds of areas that we have to make sure are running on an even keel, and that we're getting results for all of our students. Also, Salem Public Schools, without extended day, and you do have that in a number of your schools, and I know a school committee woman, Mary Manning, doesn't like me to say extended day because it's the regular school day for a number of those schools. We look at it as extended day because many times it's funded by a grant, and that is what the grant is called. The reason I say this is some of your other schools, not the extended day, you have less time than other schools have in elementary schools across the state, and it is something we have to look at for our students. You have many, many assets. You have high overall staffing and funding levels. I walked into your classes the first couple of months, and when I saw, and believe me, having been in Brockton, I counted heads in every classroom because it was difficult for many years. And there were times I was seeing 30 and 35 students in 4th and 5th grade classes, and that is unacceptable. And what I saw in the Salem Public Schools is you have classes, some of them 20, 21, 22, 23. That is such a bonus for a teacher that has to meet so many of the needs of all their students. So I really give credit to your Salem School Department, your city, for making sure that your staffing and funding levels are appropriate. You have introduced research-based, rigorous curricula. And of course, it isn't just textbooks anymore. You're going to hear me talk about the digital age. We all know that. So your kids, we're going to be looking at one-to-one devices with our curricula as part of digital technology as far as how we're teaching our students. Your investment in your technology infrastructure has the potential to make sure teachers are able to differentiate for their groups of students. You are almost at the point that you have one-to-one devices for your students coming into school. And I am going to talk about that as a challenge at the end, so I don't want to confuse you. You have made the investment in the infrastructure and certainly the devices for our students. You'll hear me talk about some of the challenges at the end. We just did our MCAS presentation, I believe early October and mid-October at our school committee meeting. We did talk about some of the challenges, but it was good news. It was good news across the board that you are showing growth, You are showing achievement almost at all levels of testing. Math was flat. Math was a little flat. We're seeing that across the state. We have to figure that out to make sure that our kids have strong curricula, strong teaching in the STEM areas, math, sciences, because I think we all know those certainly are the jobs of the future, for our students. You have 2 innovation schools, and we have to do a yearly presentation and report to the Department of Education. So New Liberty Innovation School and your Carleton Innovation School continue to have strong models. You have Bentley Academy Charter School, which right now is not going to continue as a charter school, but you have a group meeting, and it is an innovation planning committee to talk about the possibility of being our 3rd innovation school in the district. It allows some autonomies. It still comes under the superintendent and the school committee, and I am very hopeful before the end of the year that is something that will come to the superintendent, the school committee, by way of the teachers approving this process. You have a dual language program, and I'm told that is something that you have had in the past in the city. It's what is looked at all over the state as an asset. When you come from communities like a Brockton or a Salem, where you have over 50 languages spoken in the school district, that is an asset for us. That's important. It's something we had started in Brockton. I'm very proud of what we started there. I was thrilled when I heard this is something you have been looking at for the past couple of years, along with the city of Lynn, looking at the same type of program. So we're hoping next year at the Bentley School to bring on our first kindergarten class of children speaking Spanish, speaking English, and when you think about that, starting at a very young age for both youngsters, I think you can imagine what it feels like when your little friend comes over your home and can speak Spanish in the home, an English-speaking student. What does that mean for your businesses? What does that mean for your community? That is something we probably, I think you know as well as I do, we fall short in this country of making sure. It's interesting, when I mentioned my trip to Portugal, when we would go to a restaurant, the person serving you could speak not 1 language, not 2 languages, sometimes 3, 4, 5 languages that they can speak. So again, it is something that we have to pay attention to. Biliteracy, the seal of biliteracy, this is important for the Salem community, and I'm happy to report that that is the direction we're going in. We're working with our Salem police, with our school resource officers. We're trying to go from 2 police officers to 3 in our district. And it's a partnership. The children get to know the police officers as people that they can trust. And they're also important for us when there are things that we're dealing. It's a new age and time where we have to be very, very careful about what's happening in all of our public buildings. And it's important for us to have the support of our, our Salem police. You have ALICE training. So ALICE is a system of training for safety and preparedness where our students are actually going through drills. It isn't just the fire drills that, of course, we all know for years when we were students. We now put our students through drills that if something were to happen, whether they're our littlest students or our oldest students, that they understand that we're working together, we have to pay attention to our surroundings, know what is happening. And I think it is very difficult because it is hard as superintendent. Parents want you to assure them that when they leave home in the morning with their students, that they're safe all day long. And thank goodness that we have had the good fortune that our children are. You will also hear me at the end when I wrap up talk about some of the things that we have to pay attention to in Salem with our safety and security. Another good news story is you're not receiving any support, and when I say support, and that's a good thing, from the Department of Education in turnaround efforts, because your high school is showing progress. Now, a number of school districts have the Department of Education in looking at the work going on in your schools. You do not have that kind of support here. That is a good thing for a superintendent and for the school district. We continue to make progress here. You have strong programs in your extracurricular offerings. I'm sure I'm not telling you anything. We're going to an event, I believe, on December 6th with our music department, honoring some of our public officials, I think coming up at Salem High School. I hope everybody attends. Wonderful music program, drama, sports, the arts. Kids have opportunities after school. If they want to apply themselves, they want to get involved, there's lots that you have made sure have stayed in the budget. You have breakfast and lunch for children. There are some children that come to school hungry, and it makes sense for us to make sure that we're able to provide whatever we can provide for them. We have collaborations, as you heard me say, with dental offices to make sure that there are some screenings done and children can be referred if families need be. We have businesses and nonprofits as partners. You're right now in the middle of looking at a renovation of the Bertram Field. You have a new mascot, and I loved it, and this is what you get when you ask for something. So at school committee 2 weeks ago, we have our student representative, Jillian Flynn, who mentioned to us that she was all excited that they had a new mascot costume for Salem High School. So lo and behold, we no sooner start school committee the other night, and in walks this giant Salem witch. What a great costume. I hope you all take in the Thanksgiving Day game and see the introduction of our Salem witch. And that being said, when I told you how excited I was about the parade, Monday I get to take part in Bridging the Gap. I think I'm saying this correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we go to the bridge. I think they shut down the bridge. And I know Salem hasn't had the best season, but I'm really hopeful it's going to be one of those miracles on Thanksgiving Day and we can celebrate a win. So let's all hope. Let me see what else I have here. So challenges. So let me finish up by talking about right now, and I don't want to say this is a challenge, but in your packet you have your superintendent search. So as I speak, there are consultants that are in the district. It's UMass Boston, the Collins Center. So they are right now getting information from your teachers, your administrators. There are public forums going on, talking about the profile of what you want in your next superintendent. So the hope is that this process will, pick up, and I think the applications are due on December 20th. I have been out there in the field. I recently was at the Mass Association for School Superintendents and the Mass Association for School Committees. They have a dual conference on the Cape. So I was there for a couple of days. Our mayor and Amanda Campbell, one of our school committee members, presented actually at the conference, and there was much interest in the position of superintendent here. And I was only too happy to talk to, my counterparts across the state that want to come to Salem, know that there are really good things happening here. So I do think we will have a successful superintendent search. I'm pleased. I am going to announce that we finally just hired a new communications person. It's called Chief of Public Relations. It is a Salemite. It is Liz Poulet-Wettengel. So we had a large field of candidates. We are very excited. We're in the middle of doing our contract negotiations. She is to be coming on hopefully early next week, and we have a lot of work to do. When I came to you early on, I talked to you about a couple of things that I wanted to see happen. Because like Salem, Brockton, for the first time, had to start to market. You have school choice, you have charter schools, you have many opportunities for parents to make decisions. But I wanted those decisions to be our hometown school system. And I want the same thing here for Salem. People can have certainly their choices. My own parents chose to send me at the time to a parochial school. Those are things that parents have choices to make. But I want to make sure that when they're making those choices, they take a look at the Salem Public Schools. So with the new communications person coming on board, and I did speak to you about this early on when you invited me to be introduced back in September, but we will be presenting a state of the schools for the Salem Public Schools. It'll be every one of our offices. It'll be all the schools. It'll talk to you about the challenges. It'll show you pictures. Whether your realtors use this, anybody can pick up this book and know, and again, it's not just all good stories. It talks about the challenges that we would be facing. This is my favorite, and this came to me by way of a couple of North Shore towns who had also done marketing material. And Brockton just put this out this year. This was a lot of hard work. It tells you all about your high schools, all about reasons why you want to choose your hometown schools. And again, these are used, as I said, with realtors, with people wanting to share the reasons why it's good to have a business here, it's good to be a resident here, it's good to be part of a vibrant city. So these are some things. The communications director is coming on board, and we have a lot of work to do, so I will welcome her very quickly. Also, one of the things that I've been involved in here is Mass School Building Assistance Funds. So Mass School Building Assistance Funds, every community is different for when you're doing a project and you see these high schools going up all around. I think Newton High was built probably about 7 or 8 years ago to the tune of $221 million. Those prices, any of you in construction, you know what's happening with prices. So previously, when they could fund 25 projects a year, getting at least a 5-year span of getting in the pipeline, they're down to maybe 12 projects. So part of your new Student Opportunity Act also increases funding there. The reason I bring that up here is there is talk, I was on the phone this week, we have to look at, as a community, a facility master plan. When you have that plan, which brings a company in to look at your schools, it talks about renovations, it'll talk about your Salem High School. It might talk about, and when you're competing, Beverly High School, brand new high school. I was at Danvers a couple of weeks ago, brand new high school. I was at Essex Tech, beautiful high school. We need to make sure the kids in Salem have those same opportunities. And in order to do that, we need to look at a facility master plan, so when they start to have requests for proposals, we're ready to call them in. I know there's talk about looking at starting times. It's not as easy as you think. Changing the high school starting time, because we're looking at research that high school kids, it's probably better for them, research shows, to start a little later. Elementary kids start a little earlier. So these are all things that with a facility master plan actually allows you to take a look at your configuration in your district and how do you maximize the space that you have. The other thing I've been concerned about is we educate every child. We don't have a choice of picking and choosing. And we want to make sure that every child is re-engaged and has opportunities. So when I say that, I look at 2 of your schools, Salem Prep and New Liberty Innovation, and they are in the, I think it's Witch City Mall. And we're renting that space. We need to be looking at space that we might have in the Salem Public Schools if we look at reconfigurations, so we can create alternative pathways for all our students that might need to learn in a different environment. And that would be for the years to come with your facility master plan. The other thing you heard me talk about, safety and security. I do have a concern. I don't have a concern about your kids, parents. I feel the kids are safe. They're with accomplished teachers and administrators, and we have, as I said, we do a lot of training and all of the things we need. But you need to take a look at a number of your schools, one being Salem High School. When we come in, we need to have something there that checks people coming in. We need to have keyless entries where people have badges where you actually don't have a key to get in anymore. You actually have a badge that lets you in. Kids, when we're doing attendance, have a badge, so we know who belongs in our schools. So we need cameras throughout this district. You have no idea when you're talking about administrators looking at things that are happening. You have those cameras there, they tell the story. There's no question about what's happening. So in the years to come, this year, I would like to do a safety and security audit in the Salem Public Schools, so you know long-range planning. It's not something that can be done all at once, and we are trying for grants every chance we get. In this Promise Act, I believe there is some additional money for looking at some of these things that we're talking about. But we need to be poised and positioned to make some decisions that we as a community are paying attention to, and also that we stand to be able to take in some of these grants. And the thing that I'm going to leave you with that is concerning, and I've spoken to the mayor about this, a number of years ago, you probably made a very good decision citywide to create an IT department that supports the police, the fire, the schools, all of the city departments. The only problem with that right now is we're growing by leaps and bounds with technology. As I said, we don't purchase textbooks, we have digital technology. We have whiteboards where we teach, there's no more chalkboards. You know, we have over 6,400 devices, laptops for teachers, Chromebooks for students, all kinds of technology and requirements of the state to report information through our student management system, information about our teaching staff, being held to high standards with high-quality teachers, with things that, again, the reporting is astronomical. And I say that because one of the most important things I think before I leave is to take a look and begin to structure back an instructional technology department in your Salem Public Schools that works alongside your IT department citywide. I don't want the infrastructure piece. I don't want to worry if the email is going to work or if we have connectivity. But I need to make sure that the functions that belong under the superintendent in the schools to support our teachers are there to make sure that we are functioning. And if you look at a DESE report from 2010, it talks about for every 80 teachers, you should have a full-time technology person. We do not have any full-time technology people. We're right now filling a position that we had, so we are starting to get there, but we are deficient in this area, and something that I hope to work with you on and I hope to be able to talk about that again when I come back in the spring. So that is my presentation for this evening. I have provided you with, some information, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Council McCarthy, then Council Fury.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I want to recognize the school committee members that came here tonight, Amanda Campbell, Chris Wilson, Mary Manning, to help support the superintendent. And I just want to say, I know it's outside the realm of this body, but I'm going to look at the people in the other body and say, what do we do to keep this person in this position for a while longer? Because you have hit the ground running. And I don't think you took a breath during that whole time you were gone. It was fabulous. And to highlight what's going on in the district and what is important in the district, what's going on, it is to have people have an understanding, because some people don't, get to go to school committee meetings, to understand everything that's going on, and to be able to grasp that, and to be on a bus the first day, I find this totally amazing. I had the pleasure of playing golf with her husband because they just moved here. I mean, you retired from Brockton, and all of a sudden they're moving up in the area, and I'm hearing through the grapevine he likes to play golf and he doesn't know anybody, and I'm like, I'm playing in a tournament over at Kernwood, come on. And it was like, after the second hole, it's like, this is what it's going to be like. I'm playing with my brother and somebody else, and we're jabbering back and forth, and he fit right in. I'm like, okay, we can play golf together. But I just want to say thank you for all that you've done. And I say that, I said it with jokingly, and I know this in an RFP, and I would just say to the school committee, if one of those candidates does not rise, and I have no prior knowledge of who they may or may not be, but if they don't rise to the stature of what you have accomplished in the first short amount of time, I would hope that they would really talk you into staying. I don't know how much, I don't know what it would take, but to stay a little while longer, because the next superintendent, whoever he or she may be, from the groundwork that you're laying right now with the school committee, I think we're moving in a very positive direction, and it's very encouraging. And that person, whoever he or she may be, is going to have a lot of shoes to fill. And I walked in that parade with you, and I saw you wearing that. And whoever that new person is, their costume better come to the next standards for that. But in all seriousness, thank you, and thank you to the school committee for all that you do.
I'm glad you mentioned the school committee, because I know I briefly talked about, but they have been strong advocates, and sometimes we've had, again, difficult conversations. I mean, we have had to have very honest conversations about how we function as a group. I think you have an excellent school committee. They're involved. I saw Amanda just came in, but I was mentioning she was presenting along with the mayor. I was so proud, at the conference that had hundreds and hundreds of people there, and here you had your mayor and a school committee person. Mary and Chris are behind me every step of the way. I have to tell you, I had my first dinner at Bertini's. My husband had gone to Salem State University many years ago, and he didn't graduate, came home to Stonehill at the time for medical reasons. But I say that because he said, I'm so excited you're going there. There's a stool there with my name on it. So we, of course, stood there the other night, took a picture of the stool, and I sent it to him, and he was all excited about seeing a stool from Bertini's. But truly, the school committee has welcomed me and has made me feel that I can do this job. And the support, you can just imagine, really buoys you in being able to support the kids and the families in Salem.
Superintendent, I first met you back in September, and I have to echo the Ward 1 Council McCarthy's comments just now. I asked you back in September to make plans because we want to keep you, because I saw that enthusiasm that you had. But you first came up with your first sentence after you welcomed all of us and said hello. You said it's been a long day. And now, what time are we at? Almost 8 o'clock or so? And the enthusiasm and the power and the knowledge that you have sharing with us tonight, I want to see you at 7 o'clock in the morning. You must be pretty good. Councilor Fury.
Mr. President, thank you very much for inviting Dr. Smith. Indeed, Salem hit the jackpot with Dr. Smith coming to town. She turned Brockton around. And Brockton's a very similar, challenging demographics city. And she helped turn it around. And what she's doing now, her energy, her excitement is so infectious in this chamber throughout the city of Salem. I was at a football game 2 weeks ago, and Salem High School, and Dr. Smith tapped me on the shoulder. How are you, Mr. Fury? Great game, wasn't it? Even though we lost, great game. She was there with the Halloween parade for us. I sat next to her, full of energy. That's what the Salem school system needs: energy, excitement, leadership. And tonight, we have that reflection. Look at the educators we have in this room: Mary Manning, Christine Wilson, Amanda Campbell. Another educator just got elected to the board from Salem State University, a professor, Dominic Pengello's wife, Mrs. Pengello. We're going to have a great school committee, reflect the Salem. You're a part of that future, and your energy is going to be so dynamic. We need a breath of fresh air. We need an excitement. We need a catalyst to turn this school system around. And if I may piggyback on what you said this evening, Dr. Smith, on two great things in the Salem school system coming up there. In this upcoming season of Thanksgiving and the holidays, we have two great opportunities to give to our schools, and she's our greatest ambassador to our schools and future generations. Bertram Field will have a $6 million renewal and renaissance, making it truly the pride of North Shore. So the citizens of Salem can have an opportunity, a tax generous donation to the City of Salem Treasurer's Office that would be greatly appreciated. Businesses, individuals, and organizations will be recognized at Bertram Field when its new renaissance and facilities open next season. Your generosity will be greatly appreciated for the future generations at Bertram Field. I gave $1,000 to Bertram Field because I believe so much in the future of Bertram Field, as I did in the last renovation of Bertram Field. And again, I will do the same thing to another thing you mentioned tonight, Dr. Smith. Salem High School Band, the Salem High School Band, the pride of the North Shore, is having a fundraiser on Friday, December 6th, you mentioned, and I appreciate that very much. It's an honor. At Salem High School. All proceeds will benefit their concert at Carnegie Hall. Imagine Carnegie Hall. That's like going to the Olympics. Salem High School going to Carnegie Hall twice in 10 years. It will be $25 a ticket. The band worked very hard this summertime on an Adam Sandler movie, and now they need to fulfill their goal and dream for each band member to perform at Carnegie Hall in April 2020. It costs a lot of money for buses and hotels and tours and concerts and tickets to this in a Broadway play for the students. So please consider giving in this season of giving to Salem schools and make them shine. Dr. Smith is making them shine, and the school committee is making them shine. I consider our band director, our music lady, Cynthia Nebikowski, our music lady. The band works very hard, being in this, night after night throughout the city of Salem, donating their time and energy to make Salem shine. So I hope that night that we're going to recognize 5 elected officials: Christine Wilson, Lisa Peterson, May Milo, Beth Gerard, myself, over 50 years of dedication. And they've given their time of service, and they thought no better. Why not donate their time in recognition on a night of celebration of the Salem schools on Friday, December 6th. Thank you, Dr. Smith, for recognizing you are indeed our Energizer battery, and we need that shot in the arm, so much so. We've gone through a lot. 3 principals at Salem High School, 11 turnovers in principals in a matter of 3 years, and 2 superintendents in 1 year. The school, the citizens of Salem, the taxpayers, senior citizens, I'm a senior citizen now myself, now, we all deserve the best for the future generations. So thank you for giving so much. You're everywhere, and we need you so much. You're going to have your signature statement for generations to come. Thank you, Dr. Smith, and thank you for inviting her.
Thank you.
And can I just mention the principals, because you did mention them? And I do know that we have a very young group of principals. I am pleased every time I go into the school right now. We need to keep these principals. It is a group that, again, works hard. They're dedicated. They care about kids. Last night I was at a turkey dinner at the Collins with, Collins students coming back, teachers there, people retired, making this dinner where you have a sense of community. So your principals are excellent, and I've worked with lots of principals. So I'm hoping that it is a stable workforce. You don't want to lose them to any other place.
Thank you. Councilor Dominguez.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Superintendent, and thank you for the school committee here present. And I think that I wanted just to, echo some of the concern, but I have a question that I wanted to ask you because we wanted to keep you here, but in the event that you cannot stay, because I know you have a 1-year term, there is a systematic in place that you are starting to put in place. How can we, reassure to the school environment, community, that system going to be in place by 1 year term. And if you are not able to finish with your vision, the one that you just, what I say, I mean, we all agree that is the best vision, and I think the right place, how can you reassure that you're going to end in 1 year to put in place that system that will help the education to move forward? Because it's not a secret that we've been having so many, I think, inconsistencies in the school system, and we need to give the general public the secure, like you just bring it in as leadership, that's going to continue with whoever we hire as a superintendent.
I have no doubt that that will continue, because I think one of the first things I started out saying, we've had a retreat with the school committee. I have a second one coming up on December 14th. We are working to make sure we are the strongest body together. So again, it's not that we always agree. We have lots of discussion. You know, we're back and forth early in the morning, texting, talking, getting ready for meetings. And I think the strength of your relationships, your school committee, your superintendent, your administrative staff, making sure teachers have voices, making sure students have voices, making sure, you know, people, again, that your superintendent is out there, you know, not only listening but taking part in your community is a recipe for success. Because when you deal with the challenges, you deal with it with trust. So we are putting, you know, things in place, our operating protocols, our communication. We have lots of challenges, please don't get me wrong here. But I do think we will put some structures in place for your new superintendent to come on board and be able to move quickly and hopefully have a long-time commitment to the community.
Thank you. Any other comments from the councilors? There being none. Thank you for coming here tonight. Councilor McCarthy, can I see a motion for to place and receive and file the documents submitted here tonight?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Sure.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you,
you.
Dr. Smith. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we return to the regular portion of the meeting on page 2.
Madam City Clerk, hearings.
Ordered from Comcast to install a conduit at 231 Washington Street.
Appearing in favor?
Good evening, Dave Llewellyn. I'd like to speak in favor of the Comcast petition starting on Dodge Street at the existing manhole to excavate and place 1 4-inch PVC conduit 93 feet plus or minus to a proposed 3x3 manhole, and then continuing from the proposed manhole to place 1 4-inch PVC conduit 7 feet plus or minus onto the property of 231 Washington Street.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a note, well, first a note, this is actually, it has the Ward 2 councilor listed on here. This is actually in Ward 5, but so I'll handle the matter. But the one question I have, this is to service the new hotel?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to check that.
Thank you. Continue. Sorry. You all set?
Yes.
Okay. Any comments from the councilors? Okay. I'd like to open it up for the public. Anybody here appearing in favor? Choosing to speak. Anybody opposed? There being none. Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the hearing be closed.
On Councilor Terrio's motion, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this be granted.
Any discussion? There being none. On Councilor Terrio's motion that it be granted, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Rosa Ordez of 13 Forest Avenue to the Zoning Board of Appeals with a term to expire May 1st, 2020.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I move for suspension of Rule 29A, as Mr. Daz cannot be here.
Seeing no objections, all those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a somewhat unique situation. Ms. Ordaz is already a member of the ZBA as an alternate member. She's not able to be here tonight, and the person she's replacing on the board joined earlier this year, but is now but had to give up his position because he's now spending roughly half his year in Nicaragua. So as a result, he's not available he's not available a decent portion of the year now and had to step down from the post, unfortunately. So she's already with the board, and this will help them as an alternate. This will help make sure that they can maintain their quorum and hold their meetings as planned. And she's already there. We all know her, and I and we've already confirmed her earlier this year as an alternate member, so I would move for confirmation.
Any further discussion? There being none. On Councilor Turio's motion for confirmation by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Turio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Peterson?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Fury? Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Dominguez?
Yes.
And Counselor Dibble.
Yes. On the matter, 10 councilors present, 10 voting in the affirmative. The matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Gary Barrett at 51 Larchmont Road to the licensing board with a term to expire February 8th, 2024.
Councilor Gerard.
I move that this be, that I move for a suspension of the rules invoking Rule 29A.
Seeing no objection, all those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Under discussion?
Thank you. We're fortunate that, where is Gary?
You got up.
Hey, Gary. My neighbor, Gary. So we're very fortunate that we have Gary, that he has agreed to be on the licensing board, and we desperately need his expertise. So I hope that everybody confirms his appointment.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Fury.
Mr. President, I concur with Councilor Gerard. You're very lucky to have him as a neighbor. Very lucky. He is the epitome and the essence of public service. He brings the best of Salem. He makes Salem shine. He worked so hard with Congressman Tierney for nearly 18 years, almost 18 years, in his service.
It might have felt like 18.
Wherever you work, whatever you do, Mr. Barrett, the Midas touch. As we had Dr. Smith in previously, you bring that honesty, the credibility, and the great neighbor. You're very lucky to have that great neighbor, Mr. Barrett. So if I can confirm and join to that, if I may ask, a city seal be given to Chief St. Pierre. And our hearts and our prayers go out to the St. Pierre family for Mr. St. Pierre's daughter, granddaughter, is being challenged physically by cancer. So we're very lucky to have had Chief St. Pierre serve on that board. He brought so much credibility. And you say, Chief St. Pierre on the licensing board, wow, that made the licensing board. So we couldn't even be in better hands than have Gary. Thank you very much, Mr. Barrett, to take over. Thank you. Maybe a city seal be sent to Chief St. Pierre for service. Thank you, Mr. President.
On the motion by Councilor Fury to send a city seal to our chief, St. Pierre, all those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you for that. Any further discussion? Oh, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd be remiss if I didn't get up and speak about Gary for a brief second. I want to first of all thank you. And I agree with Councilor Fury wholeheartedly. He's the epitome of public service. He's worked in both the public and the private sector. He's very engaged, but he has Salem at his heart. And I think I want to thank him for stepping up and filling this vacancy and bringing a lot of stability back to the board, because it's a very important board as as the city moves forward. And I want to thank you personally for doing so.
Well said. Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none. Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Turio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Peterson?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Dominguez?
Yes.
And Counselor Dibble.
Yes. On the matter confirming Mr. Barrett to the licensing board, 10 councilors present, 10 voting in the affirmative. The matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you. I'd like to move for suspension of the rules to allow Mr. Barrett to address us.
Seeing no, seeing no objection, Mr. Barrett.
I want to thank council for the confidence you've displayed in me. It's been a pleasure to serve on the Salem Redevelopment Authority Board presently and serve the city before as zoning board of appeals. I thank you for the trust and confidence in supporting my nomination tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We have several people remaining in the audience. I'm wondering if we can see a motion to take the, I think, St. Joseph's H-dip out of order. If we can do that?
So moved.
Thank you. Anybody know what page that's on?
We're talking about, is it for you? Each dip, or it's a community
No,
report?
no,
Or the
Page
tie
17?
agreement? Then it's a committee report.
Madam City Clerk, committee reports.
Yep. 17. Page 17,
The second one.
second one.
Council Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, November 21st, 2019. The Committee on Administration and Finance co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred resolution the mayor to execute a tax increment exemption agreement between the City of Salem and Harbor Point Properties, LLC, has considered said matter and would recommend approval of the tie agreement as redlined. And I move to accept the report.
Under discussion?
By roll call.
Oh, sorry.
But,
By roll
well,
call.
yeah, first I
on the
move to
accept-
accept the report.
I'm sorry, on the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Council Peterson, under discussion.
I move to adopt the recommendation by roll call vote. Yes, I think.
Now, under discussion.
Thank you. We had an excellent committee meeting earlier this evening and had a presentation by the planning board. They've been working very hard to get this development to happen with a team of local people that we've worked with on many projects over the years. And this is for the St. Joe's School. And so it's looking like it's very, very difficult to get this project to pencil out, especially with the affordable units that we hope for. And so this is a chance to have that happen. And so they made a great case, and everybody was in favor of that. And so I hope that we adopt the recommendation.
Great. Any further discussion? Council Fury.
Mr. President, fellow members, we're blessed to have the Pavish family. The Pavish family has developed throughout the city of Salem a legacy of and a portfolio of excellence that I wouldn't mind living in one of their developments. In this one, the old St. Joseph School, the rectory, and the convent. For the last decade, it's been an eyesore to the city of Salem, to the neighborhood. And this neighborhood and this city does not deserve an eyesore. It's been falling apart. And they're going to turn it around. They're going to have the Midas touch. And that neighborhood's going to shine, as it should shine. Shetland Park, a new development at Shetland Park, new owners, new excitement down there, new energy down there. And this project here at the old St. Joseph's will spur development throughout that whole area. So this is going to be a win-win for that neighborhood in the city of Salem, a city of neighborhoods, and that's going to be a premier, prime neighborhood that I would like to live in myself. Thank you much, Mr. Pavish and Pavish family. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none. On the motion, Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilor Torrio?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Peterson?
Yes.
Councilor Milo?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Gerard?
Yes.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
And Councilor Dibble.
Yes. On the motion, 10 councilors present, 10 voting in the affirmative. The matter carries. The next one? Okay. Councilor Dominguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, City Council, November 21st, 2019. The Committee on Community and Economic Development co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred amending the HD zone to all districts in the city, has considered a safety matter and will recommend adoption.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. On the adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Dominguez.
Yes, briefly, we had a very productive meeting on yesterday, and the whole body agreed to send it to the City Council today, and with a positive recommendation, so we can vote it and we can all make the decision. That was very nice on everyone. I think that the planning department that was here and under the directionship of Tom answered all the questions that we had, and eventually we move it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Council Fury.
Mr. President, I wish to commend and congratulate Councilor Dominiquez, his chairmanship, his leadership, taking the time and the thought in the planning board and getting the questions answered. So I commend you, I congratulate you, and I thank you and your committee to bring this out forward and positive. I think it's going to send a good ripple of hope for the city of Salem, this opportunity throughout the city of Salem. So thank you, Councilor Dominiquez.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Council Fury.
Councilor Dibble, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, this is I'd have to speak in favor of this as well. This is a good thing for the city. I initially, a couple of years ago, voted for just a few properties in the downtown, Mr. President, and we approved that, and then we expanded it to the whole entire downtown. And now we're looking at expanding it for a third time to the entire city. And there's clearly a substantial need for senior housing. There's clearly a need for affordable housing. There's clearly a need for low-income housing. But this tool that the state has written is designed for more expensive housing, if you would, and not so much looking at seniors or low-income or anything else. And it was really a priority to get this tool into cities that could really use it. I don't want to single anybody out, but Lawrence, Lowell, New Bedford, Fall River, maybe some towns that would like to have more expensive housing in this so they have a more dynamic population base. So when we look at this tool, we're going to be giving something back in the form of a tax break to these developers to build more luxury condos or luxury apartments, expensive apartments, because this tool doesn't allow for it to be used for anything else but expensive housing. So I question, do we want to build that much more housing in Salem, expensive housing? Do we want to give a tax break to developers to come in and build luxury condos, luxury housing? So I question that. I think these developers outside the downtown, I'm all in favor of this in the downtown area. I think it's working in the downtown, bringing people here, bringing people to live downtown and bake in upper stories of some of our buildings. But to do it citywide, I question this, whether it's such a smart thing. So I'd like to motion that we leave the downtown area as is. It seems to be working well. But the balance of the city outside the downtown, that we require that this HDIP zone go for senior housing. In addition, with a 20% requirement for affordable units with that, so that we're going to address the big need of having affordable units in Salem and having an equally big need of having housing for seniors. I've had dozens and dozens of seniors in Ward 7 suggest to me that there's no place for them to move to. The waiting list at the Housing Authority for senior housing is hundreds long. So to build some more would be a good thing. So my motion is that this HDIP zone would be outside, the rest of the city outside of the downtown HDIP zone, and that it be applied for senior housing, and that 20% of which, and that's, the 20% is not enough, but that's the maximum, Mr. President, that's the maximum that's allowed by this tool, by the state, the way they've written it. So for senior housing and for 20% affordable housing, and I ask for this by roll call vote.
Do I hear a second to Councilor Dibble's request? Councilor Dominiquez, second. Now, on discussion, Councilor Girard, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. This isn't allowed by the HDIP. You can't just designate it for senior housing. We can have Tom or Amanda come up to explain it to us in great detail, but it's not allowed. What we want to do is, if we want to have senior housing, we need to talk to Senator Markey's office, to Representative Moulton, to Senator Warren, to at the federal level, because that's what builds senior housing. That's what Salem Housing Authority is. It's at a federal level. HDIP doesn't allow for us to do this. This is, again, it's another situation where we're going to require something that isn't allowed. We can't do that.
I appreciate it. Councilor Gerard, may I have the planning department come up and give testimony to what Councilor Gerard has just mentioned to us?
Thank you, Mr. President. I do want to just speak before I get to that the way this was noticed in discussions with the city solicitor, we don't have an opinion from her that's formal, but informally that this motion wouldn't be allowed because the notice was for citywide for all types, for all populations, and the motion that's before you would limit that to just a subset of people, and that was would not be consistent with how this matter was noticed for the public hearing originally. So that's one issue. Regarding the ability to limit it to just seniors in a different area of the city, as I think discussed at the community level, we don't really have a basis for doing that. I can't see a way that the state would approve that. While we have a tremendous need for housing for seniors, in some respect, I think this would be viewed that outside of the city, only developments that allowed for people that are 55 and older would be allowed. Flipping that around is saying that people who are younger than 55, developments that would welcome people who are younger than 55 years of age would not be able to access this incentive tool. And I don't know that there's any basis that the state would approve that.
Thank you. We have a motion that was made and seconded. Is there any further discussion under the motion? Councilor Dominiquez.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I recall, Tom, I don't know if from yesterday you mentioned, and that's why I seconded, that we allow to set the maximum and we can go to 20%. Understanding what you're explaining, based on the tool that we're using, if we go 20%, it's not doable because the state do not allow. I got the impression that we got a yes from you yesterday when we asked you kind of similar question. If you mind clarify that for me, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. Thanks for your patience.
Sure. I'm always happy to answer questions, Mr. President, through you. So the motion, I think, had a couple of components to it. One was about seniors and one was about the percentage of affordability. So I think I addressed the first point when I was up here a moment ago. Regarding the affordability matter, the program requires that at least 80% of the units be market rate. It allows for up to 20% to be affordable. However, as was demonstrated by the project that was just approved under this tie, where higher requirements for affordability are required globally, that has an impact on feasibility. For instance, if the St. Joseph's Rectory and School project had that requirement on it, it would not be proceeding because there is no way for them to accomplish that. So while the intention, and I think the work that the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board, the administration, the planning department has been doing to look at maximizing our opportunities for increasing the number of affordable units and deeper levels of subsidy is something that we are clearly striving to do in every day in every project that we're involved with. Having a broad brush requirement would be contrary to actually accomplishing that because it would prove that these projects would be infeasible and couldn't be built, and as a result there would be zero affordable units built.
Thank you. Councilor Peterson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think I've made this comment before, maybe in committee or maybe on this around this table, but I think that it's important for us to remember, of course, we need a lot of units for seniors, but we definitely need units for all types of people in our community. And just this week, two families that I am friends with had to make the decision to leave the city because and they're active in the community and they really wanted to stay and they had kids in the school system and they really wanted to raise them here and they can't because there just isn't the housing stock that will keep them here. So both had to make the decision to leave for other communities in Massachusetts. And So that's really unfortunate, and I think we need to make sure that, that we're not being overly prescriptive in figuring out, I think to Tom's point earlier, when we think about who, like when we think about who needs this, if we're not basing it off of the data that we have, I know we've all heard stories, from people in our wards and throughout the city about the needs, and I'm very sympathetic to all of that, but I think opening it up to a bigger conversation right around housing, right now we are really reliant on private development to create our affordable housing, which is not an ideal situation, but it is the situation we're in. And in order for that to happen, it needs to pencil out. And this is a tool that's going to allow that to pencil out and allow those affordable units to be part of the project. And if, it's not anyone's first choice, I don't think. And that's why we need to also, in addition to making rules here, be fighting to my colleague's point at the federal level and at the state level to make sure that tools are being created at all levels so that we can do the work here that we need to do. But right now, it's not possible, and we need these units, and we need these developments. So I think we need to make sure that we're not being overly prescriptive in in the rules we're putting around this tool, because if we do that, then we're not going to get the affordable units at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Chorio, please. Do you want to comment? Councilor McCarthy, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I couldn't agree more. It's a tool. We just before this, we just passed unanimously to allow this to occur at the former church site. 2/3 of the people in this room, one's missing, so 2/3 of the people in this room probably didn't realize that the zoning underneath that church site prior to this body rezoning it was R2. We extended the B5 zone up one block to encompass that. This body was sued. Robert K. McCarthy et al. First time I'd ever been sued in my life. It came to my door, was dropped off, and I called the city solicitor and said, what do I do with this? We all got sued. Sorry, I talk with my hands.
Me too.
So 5 minutes ago, and earlier tonight, we lauded and applauded the developer for coming in and revitalizing this property because it was underdeveloped, an eyesore, a blight to the neighborhood. Well, if this body hadn't extended the B5, we'd be having this conversation. We would have had this conversation first before having the conversation about that property because it was in the B5. So all this body is doing tonight is extending the availability of a tool. Because once they apply, whatever the project is has to come back to this body for approval. So if the will of the body at that point is they don't like the project, then the will can shoot it down. So tonight, the discussion is simply, do we allow the tool to be extended? In the case of the church, we extended it one block. So now we're extending it to the whole city. Because there may be a project out there that none of us are aware of that may need this tool to help put it over the goal line, to help a dilapidated building, to help a project. So for tonight, the question is, do you want to put a tool in the toolbox? Because we all talk about having all the available tools to create housing of all forms. Do we put the tool in the toolbox, or do we limit the tool to the downtown business district? And that's what the question is. And I will just once again reiterate, 5 minutes ago, we did it unanimously for a project to help clean up a blight. So there may be one of these projects that we're not aware of that could come up tomorrow, a week from tomorrow, or a year, or 10 years from tomorrow. All I'm saying is, don't limit the ability to use the tool. If the questions are around all your other questions, it comes back to this body. And at that point, you can make your arguments based on the project that's in front of you. Right now, it's about the tool. And I would ask everyone to approve the tool.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, I personally would like to request a roll call vote on this issue. Housing is such a critical issue, and the motion was made by Councilor Dibble, seconded by Councilor Dominiquez. Personally, as your acting president now, I would like to see a roll call vote, because housing is such an issue. We need to put where we are on the vote. If I may request a roll call vote, please. May I see 3 hands? Oh, Councilor Dibble wants more discussion?
We have to do the amendment first.
So we're voting on the amendment by Councilor Dibble, right? And Councilor Dominiquez, right? So I'm requesting a roll call vote on that.
Right.
But
Are you okay?
And he asked for a roll call.
Oh, I apologize. Thank you, Councilor Gerard. Nice and clean. So, Madam City Clerk, could we request a roll call vote on Councilor Dibble's request, seconded by Councilor Dominiquez?
Counselor Torrio.
No.
Counselor Sargent.
Yes.
Counselor Peterson.
No.
Counselor Milo.
No.
Counselor McCarthy.
No.
Counselor Gerard.
No.
Counselor Fury.
No.
Counselor Flynn.
Yes.
Counselor Dominguez.
Yes.
And Counselor Dibble.
Yes.
Uh, 10 members present. 1, 2, 3, 4 voting affirmative, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 voting in a negative. It does not carry. 6-4. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
No.
Pardon? Move the question back to the original question. Roll call vote. Do you want that? Would you like a roll call vote?
Isn't that what you wanted?
On the original motion? Yes. Roll call vote, please. Thank you very much.
Under discussion, just
Mr. Councilor Sargent.
just want to speak quickly. Is
Thank you.
one thing that may get me to vote on this is the fact that we vote on each one individually. At first, I had thought it was a citywide thing that was by right once it was voted on, just like a zoning. But it really doesn't get to the point of affordable housing. I mean, this is more about market rate housing. And because again, every single day I drive down Revere Beach and I see, I don't know how many hundreds of units being built. And I talk to the people from Revere, and very few Revere people are moving into these places. It's more people coming in from Boston. So it's not helping Revere's affordable housing crisis. So I know much is being said about affordable housing, and we need it, and we need low-income housing, and we need senior, we need veteran housing also. And we need to move forward with things like that. Something like this, I really believe, should be the 20% affordable. And I understand rehab in an old building can be difficult. But on new construction, when it comes before us, it should be 20% affordable. We have to have 10% anyways. So given 10%, it's just given what we asked for years. It's what we are. We're at 12.4% affordable housing. If we weren't given more than 10%, we couldn't be at 12.4% affordable housing today. We never could have gotten there. So somehow in the past we're able to get there, and now we're only able to get to 10%. We need to find a way to get to 10% of somebody's building by right. But as life goes, when you ask for more, you give more. Okay? If you want more at the store, you got to pay more. And when you're asking for zoning changes and different deals from the state, deals from taxpayers, you should give more. And it should be 20%. And I'm hoping with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, we can get those rules in place where you give 10% if you're building by right, 20% if you're asking for a special deal from the city. I think that's only fair. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Chiliel, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I would like to point out just a couple of things about this. First, I drive through Revere a lot as well, going to Boston for work. And all those buildings that are going up all over Revere Beach, it's amazing the amount of growth they're seeing there, and none of those are HDIP properties. They're not being built under that. They're not applying to rehab buildings. Those are just market rate buildings. They're going up under whatever rules Revere has established and whatever standards Revere is requiring. Besides that, though, and I think this has been said very clearly several times by Mr. Daniel and by other members of the council, and it was also discussed extensively at the committee meeting, this allows for any project that's approved under HDIP can have up to 20% an affordable component, which is double what we normally require of things that go through our planning process. So if a project is being built that's looking for HDIP, we have the opportunity to push for a steeper affordability component. The project that we just, as was mentioned, unanimously approved, well, they're only rounding up to approximately 10%, just under it. They're with 3 units out of 37, but they're doing them at 60%, which is a definite improvement for affordability. And they're also part of a complex where there's another building with 50-plus units that was done at entirely affordable at levels, if I remember, it was like 30%, 30%, and the highest income units were 60%. So all units ranging between 30 and 60. So these are the sort of things that do help affordability. Do they help as much as we might like in some cases? No, these aren't subsidized housing. These aren't housing authority level units. These aren't the kind of things that are built entirely by an organization like the CDC. But this is a tool that we can use to get a greater affordability component, whether it's by dollars or by income or by quantity, in units that are being built privately that otherwise would just maybe go through the standard affordability that we've been asking all these years. So this is an opportunity for us to get a greater get from developers who want to use this tool. And again, as the at-large counselor just reminded us, this is something where any project that wants to apply to this state process, assuming that they can get funded by the state, because we had some questions about that with the last project and how much they thought they might be able to get for it and what they were applying for. Assuming that a project gets funded, then when they come back to the city for that component, we have the opportunity to determine what that affordability component will be, and we can push it up to double what we're doing in our standard process right now. So I see this as a tool that's a good thing to have. Most of the things that are developed in this city are not going to be using it, most likely, but when it is, it's a good chance for us to weigh in. It's a good chance to maybe help some projects that otherwise might not be able to happen. So I'm very much for it as is.
Councilor Gerard, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you go over to Revere High School, you will see a plaque in front of there that my grandmother's name is on that plaque because she was on Revere School Committee when they rebuilt that high school. So I come from Revere. And Revere started out, it was always a vacation city. The original housing that was built, a lot of it was not good. One of the neighborhoods, Riverside, was also known as Cardboard Village. The houses are sinking. It wasn't great initially. What sustains cities, what allows cities to grow, to provide better programming, better opportunities for residents, better parks, better schools, is when they have more taxes coming in. And so having a higher level of housing that allows for higher levels of taxes, that is a good thing for Revere. This is something, especially, I grew up in the Point of Pines, right down the street from Revere Beach. This is good for Revere. And exactly as the Good Ward 5 counselor pointed out, a lot of that wasn't done with HDIP. And something after our committee meeting, I was discussing with Amanda and the developer for Lafayette Street, that they're applying for HDIP right now, but they don't, already the 2020 funds, 2021 funds are gone. They don't think they're going to be able to get 22. They may be able, they're looking at getting funding for 2023 because this is such a great tool. So exactly what my colleague from Ward 1 said, this is a tool. We need the tool. We need the taxes. There's so, as we have talked about for years at this point, about having so many different toolboxes, having different tools in the toolbox. This is one other opportunity. We talk about how important it is to have housing and to offer affordable housing, and if a developer can't get some sort of break, then how are they going to pass that on to another resident? They can't. So we can't put developers their feet to the fire and say, you get nothing because you're a big bad developer and we're not going to allow you to get any credits. then they're either not going to build or it's going to be far too expensive. So we have to do something, and this is one of the tools that we need to do. And this, I mean, really, when this first came about, honestly, I really wanted it citywide, so I'm really happy that we're finally getting for it to be citywide, so hopefully everyone will support it. Thank you.
Councilor Peterson, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. One more quick note that I just thought of. So in the committee meeting, we were there was so much enthusiasm about the project, and it was largely because we know the developer. They're local, they live in Salem, and they've done a lot of projects here before. And I think one way that it's important that we think about this tool is that it's a way that we can ensure, I mean, not guarantee, of course, but encourage more of that to happen. More, it's a way to encourage more people who live here who want to develop Salem to do that. Because I think if we are sort of just making sure that we're not ever helping out any developers, then those people that live here that are sort of the, maybe not like off the charts wealthy who want to bring their love of Salem to develop Salem aren't going to be able to do that. So I think it's also important that we think about it that way.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Demo, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank the councilors for considering my motion. It didn't pass, and I accept that. The city, we're building a lot of expensive housing throughout the whole city, mostly apartments, some condominiums, and the real estate developers are calling it luxury apartments, luxury condos. And I think building so much of it is driving up the cost of housing, helping drive up the cost of housing throughout the whole city that have nothing to do with those developments. So the rents everywhere are just going up. Traffic is absolutely amazing in Salem, and it's getting worse every day that we're out there. Just tonight, coming out on Loring Avenue tonight, it's gridlocked both directions. And it wasn't like that just a few years ago. So we're jamming so much into this mushroom of the city right now. We're wondering how much more can we take? How many more cars can we accommodate on our overcrowded roads? And now we're talking about giving a tax break, both a local and a state tax break to developers to build even more luxury housing. Because this tool that we say that we need, this is a tool that maybe Lawrence and maybe Fall River and maybe New Bedford might need. I question whether we need it here. Give a tax break to developers to build more expensive housing. It doesn't do anything for seniors, anything for veterans, anything for low-income people, and very, very little, if anything, for affordable units. It's expensive housing. Do we need to do more of that? And this is not single-family houses we're talking about. These are mid-rise, taller buildings, usually. Not always, but usually. And the project that we approved tonight at the old St. Joseph's Rectory and St. Joseph's School, that's already eligible by this HDIP because it's part of the downtown zone, if you would. So that project can go forward with or without our vote here tonight. So I don't want to confuse the issue there. I supported that project, and I would do so again, no matter who the developer was, to get that building turned around. So, Mr. President, this is something that giving a tax break to a developer to build more luxury housing, I don't see how that really helps the city. I think it adds more traffic, it adds more people. Yeah, we'll get a little bit more tax revenue out of that, but that's more strain on our schools and other uses. I'd rather see more of a focus be put into businesses and getting commercial and industrial and using our business properties more efficiently. We're building just simply too much luxury housing in Salem right now. With some 1,500 units under construction right now or in the permitting process and a whole bunch more just recently built, we're talking thousands of units right now as we speak. We haven't built this much since probably the Salem fire 100 years ago. So this is something that, because there's no true benefit to the city of Salem, no veterans, no seniors, no low-income housing, no nothing with this except for more traffic, more luxury housing. This is a tool that I don't think we need, and I cannot support it. I'll be voting against it tonight, Mr. President.
Thank you. Hearing any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, we're back to the original motion as recommended by the Committee on Community Economic Development, Chairman Dominiquez. On the original vote, I request a roll call vote, please? Do I see 3 hands? Thank you. For a roll call vote on the original motion as recommended by the Community Economic Development Committee Chairman Dominiquez. Madam City Clerk?
Counselor Torrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Peterson?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
No.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
No.
Counselor Dominguez?
Yes.
And Counselor Dibble.
No.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. On 10 members present, 10 members voting, the vote is 7 yes, 3 negative. It passes. May I request a vote for reconsideration? Councilor Torrio?
Thank you. Move for immediate reconsideration. The hope will not prevail.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed. Motion to reconsider? Thank you. Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay, what is the will of the body? Where do we go from here on the agenda? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we return to the regular portion of the meeting on page 4.
Page 4, back almost to the beginning. Communications from the mayor.
We have an order that the sum of $873,851.02 is hereby appropriated from the Stabilization Fund to the Human Resources Retro Wages account to cover the pay increases for the Police Patrolman Union contract settlement for fiscal year 18, 19, and 2020 in accordance with the recommendation of the mayor.
Councilor Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Seeing no objection on the motion by Councilor Peterson. All those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it.
Yep.
On the motion for adoption, Councilor Peterson.
I move for adoption. Thank you. Under discussion. This is just, the union contract was just agreed to, and this includes, it includes a one-time retroactive pay, and so this is to cover that.
Any further discussion? There being none, on Councilor Peterson's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further communications from the mayor.
We have a sum of $526,250 to be appropriated to the Public Educational and Government PEG Access Enterprise Fund accounts listed below to be funded as set out in the Comcast of Massachusetts, New Hampshire LLC cable television renewal license.
Councilor Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Seeing no objection, Councilor Peterson.
I move for adoption.
Under discussion.
Sure. It's important to know this is not coming from tax dollars, and it creates no new tax burden. It's funds collected by Comcast from its subscribers, and it's making use of the enterprise fund that I can't remember, we had approved that at one point. And this is to be used just for SATV operation and upgrades, and I know we have many people watching us at home right now who will appreciate being able to continue to do so.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, on Councilor Peterson's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further communications from the mayor.
We have a bond order from, that because the transformer replacement project at Salem High School, for which $60,000 was appropriated pursuant to an order the City Council passed June 26, 14, approved by the mayor on July 1st, 14, which amount was raised pursuant to such order by issuing bond anticipation notes dated December 3rd, 14th, and permanently financed by issuing bonds dated December 2nd, 2015, was funded from other sources and has been completed. The remaining balance is $60,000 borrowed, therefore is hereby appropriated to pay costs of remodeling, reconstructing, and making extraordinary repairs to the Salem High School Library, including all costs incidental and related thereto, pursuant to Section 20, Chapter 44 of the Mass General Laws.
Councilor Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Seeing no objection, Councilor Peterson.
I move for adoption for first passage by roll call vote.
Under discussion.
Sure. Again, this is a transfer, so there's no additional burden to the budget. This is just, as was just explained, because this the transformer replacement project was actually covered by other funds. I think maybe a grant or something, but it's so this money is available, and so it's going to be used for updated furniture and electrical infrastructure within the school library. Which is a great
Thank you.
idea.
Any further discussion? There being none, on Council Peterson's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Oh, by roll call vote? Thank you. Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Torrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Peterson?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Dominguez?
Yes.
And Counselor Dibble?
Yes. On the motion, 10 councilors present, 10 voting in the affirmative. The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order that the sum of $27,154.80 be approved within the Retirement Stabilization Fund Vacation Sick Leave Buyback Account for police personnel.
Council Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is for retirement buyback for Officer Michael LaRiviere, who is retiring or might already be. So just want to thank him for his service and hope that, I move for suspension of the rules was the first thing I was supposed to say.
Thank you. Seeing no objection, Council Peterson.
And move for adoption.
Thank you. Under discussion.
All of what I just said applies there. And thank him very much for his service and hope that we adopt that.
Any further discussion? There being none, on Council Peterson's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further communications from the mayor.
Mr. President,
Councilor McCarthy.
if I may, thank you, Mr. President. Since we still have the members of the planning department here, is there any chance that we could go to the resolution on page 20 relative to Palmer Cove?
Page 20. Seeing no objection. Communications from city officials.
We have a resolution from the city planner relative to Palmer Cove, accepting the park funds for Palmer Cove.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption by roll call vote.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Palmer Cove reuse, revitalization, redevelopment has been an ongoing discussion and topic for the last year or so, and obviously the planning department in the due diligence has applied for funds through the park program, the PARC program, and the program is very competitive and we've received the funds. The project itself as a whole is designed to be phased in, and this will help us work on phase one of the project. And none of the plans are ultimately finalized because as much as we have input from ourselves, this body, and the community, the final decision on final designs of any public park falls directly back on the Park and Rec Commission. And but this is just for us to, this communication is just a resolution to allow us to accept the money, and then hopefully with the goodwill of the Park and Rec Commission and all the input from this body and the public, that they come up with a long-range plan and phase in the plan as according to the way that we see fit. But this is just about accepting the money.
Thank you. Councilor Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to quickly share. I had attended the ceremony where we were awarded this grant that was in Palmer Cove Park, and people came from all over the state. They were getting their awards. I'm not actually sure why we were chosen, but it was a really nice ceremony where people were, really excited to get awards and grant awards to upgrade their parks in their communities, and it was a really nice chance to show off our city. So I'm excited to accept this.
Thank you. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you so much to Tom and his department for going after these funds. For McGlue Park, we needed to get roughly the same amount of money. It was about, I think it was around like $720,000 for the whole thing. And it was exciting at that time too, that I remember Luca had called me to inform me that we had absolutely gotten the park award, and getting the full amount is a huge deal. There's something like 20, 30 recipients, and not everyone gets the full amount in the full. 5 5 or 6 what? That got the full, exactly, out of something like 30 some odd that get some sort of funding, that it was really exciting for us to be able to get it. I'm so happy that we were able to do this again, because frankly, we don't really have the money to come up with all $722,000. So I think that this is very important for us, for the community, to accept these funds and to hopefully keep doing parks with park money. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll note Palmer Cove Park is in Ward 5. It also has Pioneer Terrace right next to it. Salem Housing Authority development. It has water access. It's it's right across from Saltonstall, and the school there uses it. It's very much a gem, and there's been a process in place for a couple of years now to work on a redesign and redevelopment, try to really bring new life to this park. And I'm really excited seeing the work that's been going into this. I'm thrilled that the state is willing to step up and help fund this amount. The state has actually been very good to a multitude of city park projects in my 8 years as a city councilor. We've gotten grants for a number of parks throughout the city from this program, and it's been a great asset. It's saved the city a lot of money out of our budget in this. We've already got money budgeted that we approved back in the summer to help pay for this. And the fact that the state is now stepping in to help fund it it's going to save the city taxpayers money. It's going to make this much more viable. It's going to let our dollars go further. And it's absolutely a positive. I really look forward to seeing the final plans that the Park and Recreation Commission come forward with. They've really done a lot of listening on this, and listened to all the prospective users and the community. And this is going to be a great asset for all the users of that park.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor McCarthy.
I believe I made the motion.
For adoption by roll call vote, I think it was?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilor Torrio?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Peterson?
Yes.
Councilor Milo?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Gerard?
Yes.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
And Councilor Dibble.
Yes. On the motion by Councilor McCarthy, 10 councilors present, 10 voting in the affirmative. The matter carries. Councilor McCarthy.
I promise, Mr. President, this will be the last time. I move that we go back to page 6.
Is that the regular order?
That will be the next one up in order.
You are correct. Communications from the mayor.
We have an order for our annual P's for Fees.
Nice.
Thank you.
Councilor Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, this is, I move for adoption.
Under discussion?
This is the annual Peace for Fees program, and I hope that everyone who's watching at home with unpaid city parking tickets will take advantage of this. The program is that you bring 2 non-perishable items or canned goods to be donated to local food pantries, and the city collector will waive from December 1st to December 23rd. The program's going on this year, up to $30 in late fees added to an unpaid parking fine. So I'm sure we have some people who will be happy to hear that, and hope that they'll come in and participate. It's a great chance to help out as well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none. On the motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order that the city purchasing agent is hereby authorized to solicit bids and lease with the approval of the mayor no more than 1/3 of the city-owned lot at 297 Bridge Street for the period of November 28th through and including December 24th, 2019 for the purpose of selling Christmas trees, wreaths, and similar holiday items.
Councilor Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we know, this is the former Universal Steel lot, and I think this is exactly what we did last year, I believe. And and I just want to point out in the backup documentation, all required insurance and liability would need to be paid by the company, not the city. So.
Any further discussion? There being none. On the motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further communications from the mayor.
We have a home rule petition submitted by the mayor relative to automated enforcement of speed limit violations in designated school zones within the city of Salem.
Waive the reading.
only 7 pages long. Councilor McCarthy.
Page 12.
Page 12, there you go.
Page 12.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption by roll call vote.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I mean, obviously, these are programs that have been implemented in other communities, and I think that there's nothing more paramount than our kids going to school and protecting our kids going to school, and to be honest with you, slowing people down in those zones and I think is a good thing, and it's something that's been tried and tested in other communities, and I think it's about time that we did it ourselves. So I would move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Any further discussion? Councilor Gerard.
Thank you. Around the Bates School, there's a lot of problems with speeding around Liberty Hill and Appleton, and anything that we can do to slow it down, because where we're getting new sidewalks and the intersections are being improved, we want to be able to encourage people to walk. And Bates is such a walkable school. Kids should be able to walk across all those intersections safely. So I am strongly in favor of this. Thank you.
Any further discussion? There being none. On Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilor Toriel?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Peterson?
Yes.
Councilor Milo?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Gerard?
Yes.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
And Councilor Dibble.
Yes. On the motion, with 10 councilors present, 10 voting in the affirmative, the matter carries. Mayor's informational page, none. Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just I do have a few questions that I would want to ask that I'd like to ask of the police between now and second passage. We have approved the first passage, but could we also send that to committee or for discussion, or?
There's no first passage. It's home rule petition.
There's only one. Oh, I thought it was. Oh, drat, I missed that.
I'm sure you can ask your questions, but
Yeah, no, I
not part of this
do have
matter.
some questions on it, but they're not huge ones, but there were a few things, but overall, I think it's positive.
okay. There's informational page. Motions, orders, and resolution. Councilor Fury.
Councilor Dibble, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, in the year 2019, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, amending Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap zones, limited time, is hereby amended by repealing the following. Chandler Road, repeal the handicap parking space in front of number 26 Chandler Road. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter. And I move for adoption for first passage.
Under discussion, please.
Yes, very briefly. This is a parking spot that we approved some time ago, and I'm saddened to say that both the father and the daughter, who both utilize this space, have both passed away, and the space is no longer needed. And our condolences go out to that family.
Thank you. On Councilor Dibble to make a motion for first passage. All those in favor? Unanimous. Councilor Dibble, thank you.
Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, in the year 2019, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, amending Chapter 42, Section 75, parking prohibitions, towing zone, resident stick-up by repealing the following. Highland Ave, repeal, Zone D, color yellow, westerly side, beginning at the intersection of Proctor Street and continuing in a southerly direction for a distance of 300 feet. Resident sticker parking only, 12/1492. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter. And I'd like to move for adoption for first passage.
Thank you. Under discussion.
Yeah, this is an issue that's been going on with the residents that live in this area. If you're picturing going outbound on Highland Ave, right by Proctor Street and Heritage Drive, on the outbound lane, what's happening is people that live there, especially on the Heritage Drive side, people that work at the hospital, they're going there and they're taking all the spots, so the residents have nowhere to park. So this would basically be a protection for them that traffic looked into, and the Salem Police, and they all agree that something has to be done here. Protect the residents, so the hospital staff parks where they're supposed to park over in their lots. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none. On Councilor Flynn's motions for adoption for first passage. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, in the year 2019, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, amending Chapter 42, Section 75, parking prohibitions, towing zone resident sticker, by adding the following. Heritage Drive, Zone D, color yellow, both sides from the intersection with Highland Ave, proceeding in a northwesterly direction for a distance of 100 feet. No visitor passes shall be issued for qualifying addresses on the street. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter. And I'd like this also adopted for first passage.
Yes. Under discussion.
This is just a continuation of what we just previously spoke about. The first one was a section of Highland Ave from Proctor to Heritage Drive. And this one here is at Highland Ave going up Heritage Drive on both sides. That's where the main problem is. Most people don't park on Highland Ave, but this is the main one where a lot of those spots on both sides are being taken by the hospital staff. And this pretty much follows the same thing from police and traffic with their recommendation.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none. On Councilor Flynn's motion for adoption for first passage. All those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council, November 21st, 2019, ordered that parking in all city-owned lots, garages, and on-street spaces shall be free of charge on the following days: Thursday, November 28th, Friday, November 29th, Saturday, November 30th, Tuesday, December 24th, and Wednesday, December 25th.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank the Parking Traffic Commission for bringing this in. Obviously, when you look at the dates, you're talking Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, Saturday after Thanksgiving, big shopping days, and allowing residents and visitors to park free in Salem will hopefully encourage people to shop locally. And then when you look at December 24th and December 25th, obviously, people who live in around downtown, the ability for their family and friends to come visit them and be able to park free without having to worry about putting money in a meter or anything on the holidays, I think is important. So I want to thank the Parking and Traffic Commission for bringing it in, and I would move for adoption.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Gerard. Okay. Any further discussion? There being none. On Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption for first passage. All those in favor?
That was just a cut and paste error. I was working in the
very
dark.
good. On Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, November 21st, 2019, ordered that a hearing for National Grid to install a conduit on Line Street be held at the next regular City Council meeting on December 5th, 2019. And I'd like this move adopted.
Thank you. No discussion. On Councilor Flynn's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Committee reports. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, November 21st, 2019. The Committee on Ordinances, License and Legal Affairs co-posted Committee of the Whole, to whom is referred the matter of granting of certain licenses, tag days, Salem High School Wrestling, December 1st, 2019, has considered some matter and would recommend that it be granted.
On the acceptance report, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. On the adoption of the recommendation, Councilor McCarthy.
No discussion, Mr. President.
Any further discussion? There being none. On Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. I'm going to skip ahead. We've already covered a couple matters. Further committee reports. Council Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, November 21st, 2019. The Committee on Government Services co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred petition from residents of Conant Street to be repaved. Has considered since matter and would recommend a discharge with no recommendation. And I'd like to accept the report.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. On the adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Yes, this was brought in a few months back, but in the meantime, the street was already paved, so there's no need for this. That's why it was discharged.
Okay.
Full recommendation.
On the adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Further committee reports. Council Flynn. Top of page 18, everybody.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, November 21st, 2019. The Committee on Government Services co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred a new drainage pipe at Footprint, has considered such matter and would recommend to keep into committee. I'd like to accept the report.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. On the adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This was brought to me from the good-at-large councilor regarding a new drainage pipe that was agreed to with Footprint. And this matter was looked into with the city engineer. Dave Knowlton came in, and he gave a full explanation of what happened with this section of pipe and why he proceeded in the way he did. It seemed to be sufficient with all of us through his expertise and knowledge. And we did decide to keep this in committee in case if any other topics with this section of pipe came up in the future. That's all I got. I don't know if you had something.
Any further discussion? Council Fury.
Thank you, Chairman. Flynn, we had an hour discussion last night on the issue there. It was very positive. Mr. Norton was here. We had all our questions. The ayes got it, T's crossed, and so on. And thank you, Chairman Flynn. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I also want to thank Council Fury for bringing the matter in and keeping a sharp eye on things that might be missed along the way. So good job. On any further discussion? There being none. On the adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further committee reports. Council Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, November 21st, 2019. The Committee on Government Services co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred, meeting with the Friends of Green Lawn to discuss ways to help and also space availability. Has considered said matter and would recommend to leave this into committee. I'd like to accept the report.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. On the adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Council Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had the Friends of the Green Lawn came in, and we also had some officials from the Cemetery Commission came in, and we had a very good discussion that we opened up, and we talked about space availability in the cemetery in the future, and what their master plan, Mr. LeBlanc, gave a great detail and maps of the cemetery and what the plan is in the future, and gave us some different things that they're going to be exploring. It was very helpful. He answered all questions. And also the Friends of Green Lawn, they also gave an update on the needs in the future of what they do to keep up with the cemetery and the other things that they do there with the trees and the other types of things that they do. And it was a very good conversation we all had, and I believe you brought this in, Council President. I want to thank you for that. And we decided also to leave this in committee in the future if there's a more discussion needed, if they needed assistance from us, and that was our final.
Very good. Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none. On Council Flynn's motion for adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Communications from city officials.
With the city solicitor submitting an ordinance relative to tap boards.
Well, who wants this one? Council Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. So everybody will probably remember this from, well, move for adoption for first passage.
Thank you. Under discussion.
Thank you. So everyone will probably remember last time we met, we had some testimony about the importance of this and we had some more this evening, hours ago. And so what happened was, last time around, I brought in an order to have the city solicitor and our building inspector take a look at language that we could incorporate into our ordinances. And they came up with this great language here, which I know it's late, but I'll read. It's not very long, just so that people are comfortable with the language. And I do have one amendment that I want to make. It's very small, just one phrase that I want to add, because the timing worked out really well that I was able to run this language that we got earlier this week by the Disabilities Commission at our meeting on Tuesday, and they were very much in favor of it, and just had one small adjustment to make. So if you want, should I read it with the amendment, or read it first and then I'll make
a motion on the amendment?
Okay. So the language is the Director of Inspectional Services / Building Inspector.
What's your amendment?
The amendment is, it's...
Should make a motion.
Council Peterson, would you
Okay.
please make a motion to amend whatever you're going to amend?
Okay, so I would like to move to amend this phrase, or this language, to include the phrase, quote, vertically raised, comma, contiguous to the pathway. And I want to put it right at the end of the sentence that's easier to count from the bottom, 5 up from the bottom, where it says, must be placed along the inside of the pedestrian walkway. I would put a comma there and just say, add vertically raised, comma, contiguous to the pathway, because the commission was concerned that the way this is phrased overall is great, but that it could be interpreted to lay it down flat, which would help no one. So we want to make sure that we're being as clear as possible.
Very good.
So I'll just read it really quickly. So the Director of Inspectional Services / Building Inspector shall ensure that when public or private work may potentially impact pedestrian mobility on a public sidewalk, there shall be established rules and/or permitting to ensure safe, unobstructed pedestrian passage. Such rules and permitting shall require, at a minimum, the installation of a continuous, non-malleable, opaque surface running at ground level along temporary structures, including scaffolding and construction fences. The non-malleable, opaque surface, hereinafter referred to as a, quote, tap board, must be placed along the inside of the pedestrian walkway. And then I'm suggesting the amendment, vertically raised, contiguous to the pathway. Any portion of a temporary structure with handrails or other barriers blocking pedestrian passage must have a tap board at ground level. The tap board shall be no less than 14 inches in height, 1 inch in depth, and placed no more than 1 inch above ground unless otherwise approved by the Director of Inspectional Services / Building Inspector or designee. And then Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter. So again, move for adoption for first passage as amended.
Under discussion. Any further discussion? Council McCarthy, then Council Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just for the record, because my name is on here for approval for adoption, or I'm assuming to go to committee, I just want to let everyone know that I had a conversation with our building inspector today relative to this, and he feels comfortable with the language, and he's a supporter of it. So,
okay, thank you. Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to thank Mr. Kapanis that came in and spoke on this, Mr. Legault that spoke on this. I can see that there is a great need for this in the city. I've seen people in my line of work, people fall, people with disabilities having a hard time getting around. You can see it all around the city. So I think this is really, really important. I think this is a great thing. Very significant low cost to do this, and I just want to thank them again for coming in and educating us on this in the work of the Disability Commission.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, on Councilor Peterson's motion to amend by adding the words vertically raised, contiguous to the pathway. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. On Councilor Peterson's motion for adoption as amended, for first passage as amended. All those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Further petitions.
We have a petition from Crown Castle NG East LLC to install a conduit at Highland Avenue at Traders Way.
Hearing ordered December 5th, 2019. Further petitions.
We have a following list of license applications for public guides, taxi cab limos, and taxi operators.
Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that they be granted.
Under discussion?
No discussion, Mr.
Any
President.
further discussion? There being none. On Council McCarthy's motion that they be granted. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further petitions.
We have the following license applications for junk dealers, secondhand valuables, and Seaworm.
Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that these matters be referred to the Committee on Licenses, Orders, and Legal Affairs.
Under discussion?
No discussion, Mr. President.
Any further discussion? There being none. On Council McCarthy's motion. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further petitions.
We have a list of drain layer contract operator licenses.
Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that they be granted.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
Any further discussion? There being none. On Council McCarthy's motion that they be granted. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further petitions.
We have a following list of claims.
Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that these matters be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
Any further discussion? There being none. On Council McCarthy's motion, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Unfinished business.
We have a second passage of an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic handicap parking for Cross Street.
Oh, Council Flynn.
Move adoption.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption for second and final passage.
Under discussion?
No
Being none.
discussion.
Any further discussion? There being none. On Council Flynn's motion for adoption for second and final passage. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further unfinished business.
We have a second passage of an ordinance relative to traffic for handicap parking zone for Peabody Street in front of number 38.
Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption for second and final passage.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
Any further discussion? There being none. On Council McCarthy's motion for adoption for second and final passage. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further unfinished business.
We have a second passage of an ordinance relative to traffic for a handicap parking zone in number 46 Peabody Street.
Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption for second and final passage.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
Any further discussion? There being none. On Council McCarthy's motion for adoption for second and final passage. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Further unfinished business.
We have a second passage of an ordinance relative to traffic for handicap parking in front of number 280 Washington Street.
Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption for second and final passage.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
Any further discussion? There being none. On Councilor Turiel's motion for adoption for second and final passage. All those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Further unfinished business.
We have a second passage of an ordinance relative to traffic for general towing zone in front of number 249 Lafayette Street, doctor sign.
Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for second and final passage.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
Any further discussion? There being none. On Councilor Turiel's motion for adoption for second and final passage. All those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Further unfinished business.
We have a second passage of an ordinance relative to tractor for section 74 general towing zone in front of 156 Lafayette Street for doctor's office only.
Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption for second and final passage.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
There being none. On any further discussion? There being none. On Councilor Turiel's motion for adoption for second and final passage. All those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. I'd just like to point out before we recess that, before we adjourn, as a reminder, as the good ward, she's the at-large council pointed out earlier, Councilor Fury, thank you for bringing it to everybody's attention. We're having a retirement party, actually a fundraiser, if you would, for Salem High School and their music boosters, their band. And it's an unusual fundraiser, whereas it's also a retirement party, honoring the legacy and the years of service that the good at-large Councilor Fury and Councilor Milo, Councilor Gerard, and Councilor Peterson, as well as Chris Wilson from the school committee, have served the city for many, many years. I think you said 50 years earlier tonight. It's quite a few. That will be held on Friday, December 6th at 6 p.m. at Salem High School. It's a great fundraiser for the high school band, but also a chance to honor and recognize these servants who have worked on behalf of the city of Salem for many years. The cost is $25, but it's actually a donation to the high school band. It's a wonderful fundraiser. So I encourage everybody that's listening at home and in attendance here tonight to attend the event. It would honor me if outgoing city councilor at large with many years of service to the city would come forward and take the gavel. Councilor Milo, would you please come join me?
Councilor Flynn.
Yes, a point of personal privilege.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to bring up one other thing. We already passed through, we're going to be naming Keown Square a dedication. Everyone's going to get this on an email from our Veterans Agent, Kim Emmerling, but I can just read this quick. On behalf of the family of firefighter James Keown Jr. and the Salem firefighters, you are invited to the dedication of the new James J. Keown Jr. Square. This event will be held Saturday, November 30th at 1 p.m. on the corner of Hanson and South Street in Ward 4. And everyone obviously is invited. This will be a great thing. It's long overdue for a son of Salem that perished serving the citizens of Salem, and it'd be really nice to have everyone in attendance for the Keown family. Mr. Keown has 2 sons, a daughter, and a son-in-law that's a member of the fire department. And their tradition goes back well over 100 years serving the city of Salem on the Salem Fire Department. So this is well-deserved, and I just want to pass that information on to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Fury?
Motion adjourned, Madam President.
We're adjourned.